Hi, my name is Dana, and I'm going to talk about the situation of being bisexual.
Dana is bisexual and lives here in Göteborg, Sweden. In this video, she's going to talk about her experience being bi, about bi-erasure, and about the changes she wishes to see in the world.
I had come out as bisexual since 2013, but I've always realized as a young teenager that I was kind of different and not straight at all, but at the same time I wasn't gay either, so yes, that was the conclusion I came with.
These thoughts first started when she had her first crush on a girl.
I believe it started with I had a crush with a young girl in my age when I was 13, but I couldn't really understood why. I just thought it was, wait a minute, why am I having such feelings for this girl in a way that you aren't supposed to in this so-called heteronormative society. I mean, I knew basically nothing about LGBTQ because during my upbringing it was completely stigmatized and it was absolutely taboo.
And a couple of years later, she understood what those feelings meant.
I think it was when I was 16 or 17, I realized, no, I'm actually bisexual because I could feel attraction to men, but also women. So I was like, okay, but I could never tell my family about this because they were very homophobic and most part of my relatives, they could not understand any of that. Took me years to eventually come out, and that was one of the pride parades in 2013 in Gothenburg. I had a friend who were with me all the process, so it was really helpful. I felt like euphoria. I felt like finally, because ever since I moved to my own apartment, and that was the same year as I came out, I realized I had nothing to hide anymore. I don't have to pretend anything. I think it took my parents a while to eventually accept it, but we rarely talk about it though, because I think it's kind of hard to them to still understand this part of the LGBTQ community.
And she's understood that it's not only her parents, but the society as a whole that has a problem understanding what bisexuality means.
I've noticed ever since I came out that bisexuals and other LGBTQ minority groups are very invisible. Well, first and foremost, invisibility is very common from hetero sides. They believe that no, you can't really be bisexual because it's a synonym with promiscuous. And it made very many bisexuals very unsafe because not everyone can identify with these stereotypes of bisexual people, because we are all different, we are all individuals in the end. I mean, even if people are sleeping around, so what? It shouldn't be anybody's business in the end.
But she also feels invisible within the LGBTQIA+ community.
I also noticed both online and offline that even within gay and lesbian communities, there's kind of like erasement of other sexual minorities' existence. For example, Freddie Mercury, he always identified himself more or less bisexual, but within gay community, they completely erased that part, which is just the top of the ice. I have encountered some lesbians who look down on bisexual women, assuming that they are cheaters, they would betray them by ending up with a guy or something. This is why from my perspective, it's very difficult to find anyone you could date with and not having to face with this prejudice.
Because she meets resistance no matter who she dates.
Unfortunately, every time I ended up dating with a man, some people start wondering, are you finally being straight? Or are you lying or something? That is a thing that I absolutely hate it, because it shouldn't really matter who you date with, because in the end, only you can decide who you are.
And it doesn't end there.
I mean, I have encountered many heterosexual men who only sees bisexual women as sexual objects. I could feel depressed, I could feel lonely, not feeling any form of belonging. I always felt I was an outsider, no matter where I go. But then again, I still have a privilege of being a cis woman, because for many other groups, for example, trans folks who abhor any sexual identities, it's even more tougher for them in every aspects. On the one hand, I feel sad that a lot of people don't always accept bisexual, but on the other hand, I'm also very privileged of being a cis woman, so it goes both ways in somehow. I mean, some groups both have privilege and at the same time not have the privilege.
All of this resistance she meets takes a toll on her.
I've been questioning myself constantly, but this is who I am, and nothing can change it. There's a point that, nope, I'm not going to questioning myself anymore. Either people accept who I am or they don't, because I'm not going to go tiptoe constantly just because some people will never understand or accepting. I mean, I don't have time for that. I have life to live.
If she could change the world, she would make it more welcoming to bisexual people.
One big thing, it would be that they are accepted like in every community, and they can be their own representation, and no more bullshit about by treating them as a sexual objects and assuming that they are cheaters, because everyone can be cheaters in relationships.
And after we finished the interview, she came to think of something else that she wanted to share.
Oh, and by the way, there is another message I would tell, is that unfortunately several countries do not accept LGBTQ communities, especially my home country Iran, where you can still be punished by whiplashes or death sentence for being LGBTQ. I really hope that people are paying attention to LGBTQ siblings around the world, and living here, for example, in countries like Sweden, is still a privileged part that we cannot take it for granted, actually everywhere, because there's always going to be backlashes against us, one way or another. So we have to keep fighting until we know that we don't have to be afraid anymore. It's not just for us now, but for the next generations.